I'm Sally Potter. I'm the writer and director of Ginger and Rosa. When we were filming this, although it's sat at dusk, we filmed in the very early morning, and we were really given by nature this extraordinary mist, which lifted within a couple of hours, so we shot as fast as we could. Alessandro manfully pulling against quite a heavy current here towards this boat. Now, when I was first thinking about these scenes on a boat, I did some research on the internet to try and find a guide of the kind of boat I thought would be right for Roland. And I came across a picture of the Nancy Blackett that had been owned by Arthur Ransome, the author of Swallows and Amazons, and I showed it to Carlos Conti. I said, look, this is the kind of boat. This would be right. And he said, well, let's try and get that. And so it was duly pursued. That photograph in the left-hand corner there is Arthur Ransome. This was Arthur Ransome's boat. And we filmed inside the cabin, which is tiny. All the scenes that you see here and later in the film inside the boat really were filmed inside it. So it was very cramped conditions, but Robbie is extraordinarily good at working in these tiny conditions. We were all kind of sitting on top of each other and loving doing it. Confinement can be utterly beautiful. But this is a very tense scene where Ginger begins to feel something going on that's beyond her control and that she is not happy with, without being able perhaps even to put words to it. So Ginger doesn't say a word in the scene. Ginger told me about it. But we read what's happening in her face. We tell each other everything.
The Soviet defense minister said today that their missiles could, with one blow, wipe off the face of the Earth.
This is another broadcast that was written from excerpts taken from the Times at the time. And again, this was filmed in the tiny, tiny cabin at the front of the boat. I think Robbie was kind of sitting on my lap, and the focus puller crouched on the floor, and Jean-Paul, the sound recordist, probably lying somewhere on his back too, out of sight. This is the Fantasy by Schubert for four hands. We were very lucky with the weather on the half day that we had available to shoot this scene in the Nancy Blackett. We digitally removed some landmarks from the horizon later to just give this feeling of them being out in open sea. Again, we were, Robbie and myself and the focus puller were perched on the deck at the front of this boat, which we would certainly not have been able to do had the weather been much rougher on that day. But it was windy, sunny, cold, but steady enough to be able to film.